Okay, so I'll just kind of ease into it here. We definitely have like an agenda, quite a few things that we want to cover. But we'll do our best to kind of like keep it casual, make it as easy to ask questions or kind of just share thoughts along the way as possible. So please feel free to do that. Um, I guess I'll just kind of start with like a little bit of an overview as far as like kind of where I feel not only Wassie's at, but kind of, everything, the market, whatever. I think everyone in this chat realizes like, you know, it's not the easiest of times in crypto by far, which is kind of just the reality of things. And, if you've been here for a few years, you understand these things happen. There's always kind of winters, if you will, and we're definitely going through one now. But like from the Wassie perspective, obviously, and it doesn't help our NFT prices and stuff. But as far as like the stuff we can control, growing the brand in natural ways and really just introducing it to new people and kind of just growing the brand side of Wassie, that's all uninhibited. And so like, that's by far where our energy is best spent now and where we're spending it. So I guess kind of like on that tone, some of the stuff we're working on in the more IRL realm, we've got some small ting plushes coming out. I wouldn't say soon. I think we're about to review the sample this week, and then I would guess another month or two for production. But those will be really cool, kind of alongside the Maru plushes we have out. We're expecting those to be a flagship item. We'll have those on Amazon and Shopify. A quick word on Amazon. We just had some issues with like paperwork and all that. And so I'm sure some of you have noticed the Amazon store has been down for a few weeks. I think we actually got it sorted yesterday though. So that should be up and back to normal. Yeah. Um, Other than that, we've been expanding our products on our Shopify. Actually, today we kind of just stealth launched a puzzle called Wassie's in the Concrete Jungle. Didn't really make a tweet there because we just kind of wanted the Townhall to be #1 today. But we've been expanding our products there. We're seeing people, when we drop a new product like a hoodie, order a hoodie and a coffee mug or a hoodie and something else. And so that's really like for us, really promising to see. That's what we want is we want to build up like a good catalog so that, people can come by and grab a few things they like. If they come for a hoodie, grab something else. And so, merch isn't some huge crazy business right now, but it's definitely showing promising signs. And like the user behavior, like I said, multiple items, things like that, all looks good. Especially when you consider like the general hatred just kind of for crypto NFTs right now. We're proving that we have fans that are outside of kind of that realm or don't even connotate the two. I guess from the merch side, I could ramble on about a lot of specific stuff, but that's a pretty general overview. I think, and yeah, Fussy Wassie, Amazon probably is just hiding it right now because our store is like down. I think it should be, when I said I got it, or when I said we got it fixed yesterday, I think we got the paperwork we needed to get it fixed. So I would say it'll still probably take another couple days. Frizz, I don't know if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, we received it. Basically, it was a address/EIN issue with Amazon and the taxing stuff. So we had to get updates from the IRS, and the IRS takes 60 days to send out letters, unfortunately, and that's why it was delayed. So we received the letter, and we're just processing it with Amazon, and they just have to accept it. Might be today, might be a week from now. Unfortunately, we're dealing with large companies, and they just take time. So
Yeah.
hopefully soon. But we had it
Yeah.
all set up correctly. It's just the IRS had an issue and Amazon had an issue with that, so we had to fix it. That's all.
Yeah. So it is what it is. It's kind of just one of those things. Luckily the Shopify, it doesn't have all of our products just because of, warehousing and logistics, things like that, but it's, at least up and has a lot of cool stuff in there. So next thing I want to talk about is probably what I'm most excited about when you talk about kind of next month or two, or three or whatever, just kind of coming, soonish times are some video stuff that we're working on. And there's kind of like two categories or two separate things we're working on. And I don't want to be like super teasy, but I'm not going to give all the details. What I will say is one of them is a kind of a news-based show, and we haven't really said anything like this publicly yet, but it's a weekly segment. Um, haven't finalized the name. I'm not going to say the name. It's a weekly segment we're going to do covering news mostly in crypto, but also, some broader world news. We'll make it fun. Small Ting will be the anchor. We have a partner on that. I'm not going to say who it is yet, just because I haven't asked him, or them rather, if that was okay. But we have a partner on it who we love, and I think if you've been paying attention, you might be able to kind of tell who it is. We've probably been interacting quite a bit, but we think this is going to be one of those things where once it exists, it's going to be hard to imagine not having it. It's basically just taking what Small Ting already is and throwing it into like a really funny, really entertaining news segment. So the reality is like the audience is already going to understand it. They're already going to want it because they're already following Small Ting and kind of expecting, news type content, if you will, as well as humor and whatever. So that's going to be super cool. I don't want to give a date on when that will start. What I'll say is, we're working on making it as robust as we can so that, weekly, and then, if there's any breaking news, we're able to spit stuff out quick. So, making all of the environments for the studio, making different, just 3D environments. And I probably could say this a little more smooth if I was on the 3D team, but bottom line is, just getting things ready to go. So when it comes time to produce these episodes quickly, we have everything, kind of pre-made. We throw on the script, we throw on the animations, we do the storyline and we go. So that'll be sweet. It's also something that, it doesn't take any dollars out of our community's pockets, and we should be able to get some great sponsors for it, which like make us more sustainable. And yeah, and sorry, someone just said they have zero sound. That's not right.
It's just them. Yeah, they just need to mute.
Um, so yeah, we're really excited about that show. And then another thing we have, which is it started out as kind of, and we're just kind of taking this step by step. We're not committing to any sort of schedule on this, but it's kind of a historical series that we're doing. The first episode is in finalization, is what I would say. So there's definitely some edits we're making, but it's almost done. And that first episode is kind of like an overview of the history of crypto and then kind of the history of CT and then Wassies. So it's a very logical first step. And I think like, again, this is going to be kind of one of those things that's very cornerstone-ish to crypto Twitter. Like, and Verspra has been the history keeper. He's been everything for so long, but it's cool to finally start making content that kind of builds off that. So super excited for both of those, video projects that we're working on. I think that like, it's just going to bring way more people into Wassie, give them great content that like grabs their attention and makes them want to get more involved. Um, so yeah, I'll kind of stop there. If anybody has any questions on like the shows, or merch, I guess. Yeah.
You can type the questions in the chat if you have any.
Yeah, you can type, or if anybody wants to come up, no worries there too. On the news show, there is a kind of a teaser just for the show itself. I don't know when we'll release it, but it is so awesome. So I can't wait for everyone to see it. Part of me almost wants to like show it here, but I don't know. I feel like the artist might be mad. Should I? See, I knew Rito would be against it. We'll wait, because I want you guys to see it in its final form, but it's fucking awesome. It's super exciting. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of continue down my list here. 1 second. Okay, another kind of new vertical we're working on, and this is something we're easing into. We're not like, you know, pushing all in or any means, but we're easing into it. We definitely want to explore it, is Roblox. So we'll start there with just getting our character in the game where it can be used, in any world. And then down the line, we plan to kind of ease into making some games. Um, that's one of those things that we have a lot of blind spots for, as far as just, you have to do things to learn about them. So, we don't want to make any promises or anything like that, but we're definitely exploring. The character will be in there, you know, in coming weeks or month or two or whatever. Games, I can't put a date on at all, but like I said, we're exploring. We definitely have some ideas, but just kind of taking it day by day and testing there. Uh, Again, if anyone has questions, feel free. Otherwise, I'll just kind of slowly keep rambling here. Other than that, Wasi Lotto is just something I want to keep people up to date on. Everything is still, as planned there. That will kick off a month from Monad TGE. Um,
Not
so
TGE.
something, yeah. Oh, sorry, not a month from TGE. Sorry, a year from TGE is what I meant
Yeah.
to say.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's like October of 2026, I believe, like mid-October maybe or late. Um, so that'll be cool. It's one of those things. It's still quite a ways out, 8 months out. It'll be here before we know it, but we'll start, spinning up activations there, different ways to get people involved, and that'll obviously be cool because it's kind of just something that we can center a lot of different things around. It gives us great leverage on partnerships. If people use apps, they can get entries, things like that. So again, it's coming. It'll be here sooner than we know, but not anything that's like imminent. Other than that, I'm curious what's on everyone's mind. That's kind of a lot of where we're focusing now. Um, on-chain partnerships and things of that nature, we're always pursuing. We've got some cool ones that we're kind of working on. Storm Ray is one that went live yesterday that I personally had some fun with. Um, the reality is market's a little slower, so it feels like on-chain things have been a little harder to coordinate with other groups. We're still out there doing it and chasing down companies we feel like are doing cool stuff, and we'll continue to do that. But it has been a little slower, so kind of just acknowledging that. But the other thing I would say is we're a team of like 7 or whatever, so you guys have more eyes than us. If there's ever a group out there doing cool stuff, tweet us, let us know in the Discord, whatever, and we'll chase them down and talk to them and see if anything can be done. And I know some people already do that, and so I appreciate the ones who do. In fact, the Storm Ray one was a community member who suggested that. Gio, you think there's anything I missed? There's no reason to kind of drag this on too long. Small markets is great, Danny. Thank you. Yeah, small markets is still continuing as planned. The Solana one, I wouldn't say it's finished, but it's about 95% done. I have a meeting with the dev tomorrow on that. Um, the Monad one is just incredibly tough right now, and I think it's one of those things where, again, I don't want to make any excuses. We're a small team. We have limited energy, but we need to make sure we're still growing the Monad one, listing new and exciting projects. And then, once we launch the Solana one, same. So it's been incredibly tough since launching that. And like you kind of acknowledged, Danny, the market is, I don't want to say dead. It's fucking very close though. And, it's just one of those things where like we continue to like support it and we want to grow it, but it's a matter of kind of directing energy. So I have high hopes that like as we spin up Solana, the market can come back. I think Solana NFTs have a lot of potential just because like Solana as an ecosystem as a whole has so much depth, and so naturally NFTs have a role in there. Um, so yeah, to answer your question, Danny, nothing has changed, but I will take personal responsibility for kind of a lack of comms there. Um, it's yeah, it's kind of just sometimes you can chase other things and things fall off, but everything is continuing there. And I would say small markets, we don't have a date on, but it would be, I would guess in the next weeks or month. I would say 6 weeks max, probably. We're kind of in a space where we're not rushing it, but we're certainly not trying to drag our feet. Another thing I would love to do there in an update, probably like right after Solana, is just enable community market creation. So that way we can get people kind of even without our input creating markets for their NFTs. And I think that that may make it a little more organically sustainable, or it will. So looking to add that. Thank you for reminding me because I have a little bit of a monkey brain and it's easy to forget stuff like that. All right, well, I'll give another minute or so for questions. And I guess while I'm kind of letting you all type out any final questions or whatever, I'll kind of just like recap what we've gone over. So, first piece is kind of merch. Amazon should be back up soon. Amazon will eventually have everything we have on Shopify. Um, we've got new plushies coming out soonish. Call it 4 to 8 weeks. I didn't actually mention we have some really cool keychains too, small ting little keychains. Hype for those. I don't have an exact date on those. Geo, maybe you can type if you think you have one. But those will be cool. And then we're also continuing, like I said, we launched puzzles today, blankets, we've got the coffee mugs, just continuing to expand the catalog, um, for the long term. I guess another thing I can kind of touch on as far as stuff we're working on is a coloring book is something that should be coming sooner rather than later. We think that's just a cool opportunity to get some younger fans. And there's also quite a few adults who enjoy them just kind of like in a relaxing way. So we'll have that out soon. Also working on a Where's Wassie, kind of Where's Waldo type book. That one's going to be a collaboration with a bunch of different artists from around the community. If you guys have artists you want to suggest, feel free to suggest them. I think, we've already kind of reached out to most of the Wassie artists that most of us probably think of, but feel free to say them anyway. Um, so books, both coloring books and Where's Waldo type Where's Wassie stuff coming soon. We think that's a cool kind of area to get into as well, and to add to the catalog. Um, and then there's kind of another angle of IRL that we're working on. I don't even really want to tease it much, but we're working on setting up kind of a unique conference activity. And what that would involve is kind of partnering with a bunch of different protocols that are having parties and kind of a cross party coordination. But that's really early, something we're not rushing on, but something that's kind of exciting nonetheless. And would involve an IRL aspect of kind of a Wassie scavenger hunt, but that's very much whiteboard stuff, so I won't go too in depth. All right, I don't see any final questions. Geo did say maybe a couple months out on the keychains. A lot of these things when you're just doing custom stuff like this, they take a while, but then once they're done, they're done. You have them, and reorders are generally a lot quicker. So anything official at ETHC? Yeah, so we will be at ETHC in the safe house predominantly. As far as any other public events, and by the way, if you want to go to the safe house, connect with me and I can make that happen. I'm not 100% sure if we'll be doing any like collaborative events or kind of public events, but as far as like holders go, connect with me if you want to go to the safe house, and we'll have a bunch of merch there that'll be available, and it'll be super chill. In fact, like I think what I should do, at the minimum, we should just plan like a little dinner. You and whoever else is there, I'll at least buy everyone dinner. And if we have a small group, whatever, it won't be anything crazy, but that would at least be fun. So let's make Geo, let's make a channel in Discord, and we can kind of just passively sort things out there. So if anyone's not familiar, ETHCC is in Cannes, France. I believe the dates that I'll be there are March 28th to April 4th. Heck yeah. Glad you like it. And he said, thanks for the merch from BA. So yeah, we'll have, similar concept type stuff. Dan Fuse said, is that Wassie's attending dinner or people eating Wassie's for dinner? No comment. All right, I know I've said it a few times, but yeah, if anybody has any comments, questions, whatever. And then, I guess the last thing I'll say, I try to be ultra humble is like, I think there was a period like January, February, where our communications were a little slow. Um, you know, Formally would like to apologize for it. I think as a team, we got a little just kind of overrun and over, which is not, excusable or whatever. It just happened. And I think our Twitter slowed down a bit and whatever, as I'm sure a lot of people noticed. So apologies for that. And, consistency should be, you know, consistent, as dumb as that sounds. Nonetheless, make sure we're meeting, or like just know we're meeting every day and we're always on it. So I think the reality is, it's like when the market's so depressing, like it's hard for us to come on and be like, woohoo, everything's peachy, because shit probably sucks for us and shit probably sucks for you guys too. And I think that's just like the unglorious kind of truth of like when the market's dumping and it's just like, fuck, it's hard to spread good vibes when you don't even feel them sometimes. Again, just being ultra honest and whatever. But reality is, like, my current view on the market, which I know nothing, is like, I think it's been incredibly tough. I think, obviously the speculative side is really tough. But I think if you look at just, the 10-year horizon, things are very solid. And, there's more people building in crypto than ever. And, NFTs especially have just been stomped on for how many years now? I don't even know. But the reality is like NFTs are just a very simple technology and their use cases are almost unlimited. And so, there's no NFT hype right now. And I'm not going to beat my chest telling you, moon tomorrow. But I still believe as much as I ever have in the utility and the purpose and like the validity of them. Um, so yeah, I guess it's important that I say that every once in a while. Um, because things ebb and flow and emotions come and go, if you will. Yeah, I think the reality is like for us, you know, market be damned, we can win no matter what. And I think like if you look right now, it's very hit or miss trying to, how can I put this? Trying to kind of like, well, just NFTs right now are very hit or miss. And what is their role in the brands they represent? But I think like one thing I know for sure is, and you learn it from Pudgy Penguins, whatever is like if you grow the brand, you can really find the NFT's role whenever you want or whenever that comes about. And the opportunities there present themselves. And so I think that summarizes our kind of, you know, mindset this year is like foundation, 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 foundation. And like, the NFTs are always going to be central and all that. But the best thing we can do right now is build up the brand, all that, which naturally just makes, the NFTs more valuable and more solidified going forward. So that's my personal kind of state of the union, if you will, from that regard. Then I guess to touch on Monad, feels like Monad's actually kind of picking up quite a bit. Teams still seem to be building, and there's a lot of teams, it seems like, kind of shipping stuff now. So we're pushing on BD type stuff there. And, you know, as I said, just in general, but if anybody sees teams doing cool stuff, you don't need to have like a full plan on what we would do with them or whatever. Feel free to just tip us off and we'll pursue it from there. And Danny, yeah, I mean, I like Solana. Danny asked if I'm still bullish Solana in general long term. I am for like the simple fact, and I'm not necessarily like saying token price. I mean, I would hope we can be bullish from these current prices, but in terms of user, look, if users are there, that's what we need from Solana, right? Like we don't care too much about the token price. We do because it helps our floor price, and I want the floor price to be high specifically so you guys, have assets that are worth a lot. But as far as Solana, am I bullish? I think Solana will continue to onboard people. Like you look at like Kalshi, and the bringing prediction markets to Solana. Like there's just so many different angles people are building Solana from. Gaming, prediction markets. I think perps are the one thing it's really struggled on, which is whatever. Um, I feel great about having our home there and everything. And I think probably the decision that we've made that's gotten the most flack over the history of Wassie is moving from ETH to Solana. And I can't say it was like a perfect decision or whatever, but I feel great about Solana long term. And we have close comms with really, a lot of people at the foundation, and feel good about the work they do and like the vision they have. Um, so yeah. How many Wassies for a free can trip? I guess it depends where you are. If you're a town over, we can make it happen. All right, guys, I could keep rambling, but we have all this recorded and stuff. So for the sake of kind of keeping it compact, we won't do that. Yeah, I don't see any outstanding questions. Geo, Frizz, is there anything I missed, you think, or any questions I missed?
No, I just think a good summary point is that we meet every day and we're really trying to grow the brand and really
Yep,
develop Wasi that is a known brand and people want to buy the plushies, people want to give the coloring books to their kids, people want to watch the news show so that eventually people want to identify as a Wasi, which means they want to have an NFT as their profile picture. And that's kind of the flow of what we're aiming for. And it really stems from growing the brand and making people know what Wasi is, whether it's gifts, merchandise, timeline, etc. And that's kind of where the focus has been during these downtimes. And just the Solana question, a lot of the builders now are trying to build things that you don't even know you're using crypto. And that's
exactly.
kind of where NFTs are right now, is we're hoping eventually to get to the point where people know the Wasi as a brand that's not necessarily crypto related, but they want the profile picture similar as they'd want a Pokemon card or something. And that's kind of where we're hoping it goes. It just takes a lot of time to do that, but we are working very hard on the brand, and we think that is the most important thing, is having a known brand, and then long term that helps everyone.
Yep. So just building on that, and thank you for that, Frizz. Like, I think there's two angles you do that. You do it inside crypto and outside crypto. And so, like, coloring books, where's Wasi, all that, it kind of works for both. But then, like, everybody knows about Wasis, but as far as getting them to kind of join the movement or the community or be more active, like that news show, I think, is just going to be absolutely massive. And being the source of history through the history videos, I think, is going to keep bringing people back to Wasi. So, having our 3D team and our full art team available for stuff like this, not working on another mint has just been amazing. And it's like we're just churning and burning through stuff. I mean, we didn't even mention the website, but we have the new website. Um, we're just churning and burning through stuff so quick. So it's awesome. And the nice thing about the news show is we've got a completely outside team executing that. Obviously, script and all that is like small team curates that, but it doesn't impact our creative abilities from inside the core team. So feel really good about all that. But yeah, Rito just shot some new stuff on the website. Got some mini games up there. Canvas is better than ever. So yeah, we've been cooking, and yeah, I think it's all coming together. And I think that I'm kind of talking in circles here, but our foundation is getting exponentially stronger. So cool. All right, guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate everybody joining. You guys are all ride or dies if you're in here because everything's in the shit. And if you're here, it's because you like believe in us long term and you're a supporter, and truly, truly, truly appreciate that. I think like I feel more confident in our sustainability now than I ever have. We're in talks with a lot of people who know the value of Wasi, want to do business, um, sponsors for different video content, stuff like that. And so, I mean, the idea of being able to just put out endless Wasi content forever and have fun with it and, you know, connect with like good teams, that's the whole dream. And it feels very close. So, yeah, just appreciate everybody for sticking around and G dubs.
G-dubs, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
I'll play
Cheers.
Whack-A-Wassie.
Yeah, go play Wagwasi, and then I'm a little busy IRL, but if there's any lingering questions, I'm gonna hang around in just the fridge for 5-10 minutes, and then I gotta go do some stuff IRL. But thanks for joining, everybody. Cheers.